What's up, guys? It's Josh here, back with another Kansas City Chiefs related video, and today I'm going to be discussing 3 Chiefs players that I believe could break out in 2021. So there are a lot of positions in which this offseason going into it, us as fans called for the Chiefs to address it, make a change, draft somebody, sign somebody, when the reality is there's also the chance that someone from that position also steps up. And some breakout candidates are players that I've bagged on in the past or that the fan base has been pretty low on as of recently. But with all that being said, let's go ahead and jump into my list of 3 Chiefs players I believe could break out in 2021. The first player I have as a breakout candidate for the Kansas City Chiefs in 2021, this one is going to be a popular answer, but wide receiver Mecole Hardman. So I have been at the forefront of criticizing Mecole Hardman after 2020. He had a disappointing year when you consider the fact a lot of his class peers, such as DK Metcalf, Terry McLaurin, guys like that, A.J. Brown, they've all kind of been better than him, whereas Mecole, they all improved, whereas Mecole, his production kind of plateaued in 2020. He had more targets, more receptions in 2020, yet had less yards and less touchdowns. And they stuck him on the return game a lot, and he did not do very well. Only averaged 7 yards per punt return, and his kick return tactics, such as fair catching at the 5-yard line and not knowing when to let it bounce, it was maddening. Mecole Hardman, he wasn't great in 2020. He also had a lot of drops, too. He was actually the worst on the team last year in drop rate. So he's got to step up. And the Chiefs also need to fill that void at wide receiver 2, and Mecole Hardman will have to improve in a lot of areas in his game to be able to prove that he is a all-around wide receiver. He said going into the offseason he wants to prove that he's a complete receiver. Well, in order to do that, he's got to beat the press. He's got to run better routes. He's got to run through his routes. So many times last year, Patrick Mahomes yelled at him for not running through his route. He's got to catch the ball better. He's just got to be more physical, win over the middle, do all the things that you would expect out of a complete receiver, a reliable chain mover. Mecole Hardman, he's been a big play guy mostly, but the Chiefs need to see him develop more into a reliable chain mover. And even though I've been critical of Mecole Hardman, he has his work cut out for him. He has the talent. So acknowledging that, Mecole Hardman is certainly a breakout candidate in 2021. I mean, it's just waiting to happen. Like, he has a talent. We saw flashes in year 1. We saw some flashes in year 2 as well. We just wanted to see some more, improvement. And we just never really saw it. Even with all that time Sammy Watkins was out, Mecole Hardman just kind of stayed invisible. So I'm really hoping for Mecole Hardman to be a breakout candidate in 2021, and I think he can be. Like I said, I've been critical of him, but if he does step up, I can't say I will be surprised because I'm rooting for the guy. I want it to happen, and I think it can happen, but he's just got to put in the work. So Mecole Hardman is my number 1 breakout candidate for the 2021 season. All right, and number 2 on Chiefs breakout candidates in 2021, I've got Clyde Edwards-Helaire, the running back. So Clyde Edwards-Helaire is another guy that I've been critical of, and I've always said that I'm going to hate the draft pick more than the player, and that remains true. People will mistake that for me hating on Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I still think Clyde Edwards-Helaire is a good player, but I'll get a lot of comments on my videos anytime I bring up my disliking of the Clyde Edwards-Helaire pick, and people will say, oh, you're going to eat your words about Clyde. Clyde is a beast. You're wrong about Clyde. No, I'm not wrong about Clyde, and I'm not going to eat my words on Clyde, because even if Clyde does good, my point still stands that wasting a first-round pick on a running back is irresponsible when you have 1,000-yard rushers that used to be undrafted free agents all the time, including James Robinson, who was from the same class as CEH, went to the Jaguars and was a 1,000-yard rusher as a rookie, and the Jaguars weren't all that great either. And I get it, the Chiefs had a really bad O-line in 2020, and that didn't help CEH a lot either. But again, you've seen a lot of generational first-round running backs come out of the draft and have to work with really bad O-lines, and they're able to do better than Clyde did in 2020. Again, I'm still going to give Clyde some of the benefit of the doubt because, look, it is really hard, especially when you're a smaller running back like Clyde, too. But regardless, I'm still not a fan of a first-round running back, even though we selected Clyde in the first round. I'm not just going to change my stance because the Chiefs drafted one and now I have to like it. The Chiefs also didn't even really utilize him all that well in 2020 either. He was hyped up as this great receiving back, and they didn't really take advantage of that at all. So the pick to me was silly for several reasons, and I'm not going to get into that. I want to talk about why Clyde Edwards-Helaire is a breakout candidate for 2021. And that's a lot to do with the fact that the Chiefs completely revamped their offensive line, and all across the board, they look to be improved from left tackle to right tackle. And that left side of the line with Orlando Brown and Joe Thuney, and then you got Creed Humphrey there at center, Austin Blythe as well, who could rotate in. Imagine running behind that, man. Like that, Clyde has no excuses this year to at least have 1,000 yards rushing. If he doesn't, it's probably because he got hurt. But the right side is also pretty good, depending on how it shakes out. You could have Kyle Long there, LDT, Lucas Niang, Mike Remmers. That side's still going to be pretty good as well. So Clyde Edwards-Helaire has no excuses to not run for 1,000 yards in 2021, and I think he will. And the Chiefs also are going to have to run the ball more with Clyde to protect Patrick Mahomes and take the ball out of his hands at times when he's being harassed. Now, the hope is with the new offensive line that he won't be harassed as much, but you saw in the Super Bowl, they would run with Clyde at times, not just because the Bucs-based defense was daring the Chiefs to run, but also because when you took the ball out of Mahomes' hands, it meant he wasn't being sacked every time. So you also have to run the ball to protect Patrick Mahomes and create a more balanced offense. And so teams also take you more seriously on RPOs, because the Chiefs, I would have to look into how much they ran as opposed to pass on RPOs, but it was probably 90-10, something like that. So yeah, Clyde Edwards-Helaire is going to have a much better year in 2021, and there's no reason he shouldn't be up there with some of the rushing leaders in the NFL next season. So Clyde Edwards-Helaire is one of my breakout candidates for 2021. All right, and my last breakout candidate for the 2021 season for the Kansas City Chiefs. You could go a lot of different directions here. I'm sure you guys will have more suggestions in the comments of guys I didn't mention, but my last one is linebacker Willie Gay. So Willie Gay had a very interesting rookie season. He didn't play a whole lot, but when he was on the field, he seemed to do really well. There were also times where he looked like a rookie and he didn't really know where he was supposed to be. But there's no denying that he showed a lot of flashes in 2020. In fact, in the Atlanta Falcons game, in which the Chiefs were pretty dinged up at linebacker, Willie Gay ended up starting that game along with Darius Harris, and I want to say, who was the other one? Emmanuel Smith. Yeah, that's right. They all three started that game at linebacker. Hitchens and Wilson were out. And Willie Gay ended up leading the team in tackles that day with 9, and he looked really good, really explosive. The game seemed to be moving a lot slower for him. He was able to recognize things a little bit better and read and react. And that's the hope for 2021, is that the game will move a little bit slower for him, because the thing with Willie Gay is he's always had the athletic ability, but it's the mentals for him. Knowing where you're supposed to be, recognizing the play, knowing what you're actually supposed to do as a linebacker, your jobs and your responsibilities. The athletic ability and the size has always been there for him. Willie Gay would end up getting hurt at the end of the year, though. He tore his meniscus right around playoff time, and it was really unfortunate because he could have helped in that Super Bowl. I don't think Willie Gay was going to swing that Super Bowl anyway. The problem was the offensive line, but Willie Gay certainly, I think, could have played in that game if he was healthy and would have made somewhat of an impact. And he also, so he originally rolled his ankle in week 17, and he ended up being out for the first 2 playoff games against the Browns and the Bills, and then he returned to practice, and then he tore his meniscus, and that was a rough stretch for him. So hopefully he's able to return fully healthy in 2021 and not miss a beat. And hopefully he's able to take that next step, because the Chiefs really need him to. They need more help at linebacker. They need Willie Gay to start taking away more snaps from Ben Neiman. They need to be able to trust Willie Gay. He's just got to continue to be a student of the game. And drafting linebacker Nick Bolton should help a lot, because I think him and Willie Gay could develop a really cool friendship on and off the field, And Nick Bolton is the kind of guy who is going to be calling the defense when Anthony Hitchens leaves Kansas City, and Nick Bolton's going to have that green dot on his helmet, and he's going to be able to help Willie Gay when he's on the field. Those two are going to run the middle of the field for years to come. Nick Bolton's going to tell him where to be, what to do, because Nick Bolton is a really good signal caller, and Nick Bolton is a really good player when it comes to recognizing the play and reading and reacting and all that kind of stuff. I watched him at Missouri for his entire career, and it's been fun to see how he's developed, and I think he'll also help Willie Gay along the way. So Willie Gay is someone I believe could break out in 2021. So those are my 3 Kansas City Chiefs breakout candidates for the 2021 season. So I'll ask you guys, Chiefs fans, who do you think could break out for the Chiefs in 2021? Or do you think I hit the nail on the head with my 3 picks? Or do you think I left someone off that would be a better candidate? There are a lot of good ones, so I would love to hear from you guys. But all that being said, make sure you like, share, and subscribe so more Chiefs fans can find this video. And make sure you check out my work on showmefootball.com and kckingdom.com. That's all I got for today. Peace.